obviously you bet on yourself big time,
Hmm.
by joining PCA and working with a team to get you across the finish line. And a lot of the time we talk to people who they've never really invested in themselves or done anything to this caliber since university, right? Where they
Hmm.
so many touch points and all of this. What if you could, what would be great would be to describe the journey kind of mentally where, you had your initial call with us, you found out the information, then what went on through your mind about the, ROI of something like this, and then, how you kind of quantified that into the decision to join MPCA and give us a shot.
Check. So yeah, so what led me to this whole process was I saw a bunch of layoffs at Microsoft, and that was like, okay, probably I should start looking at other companies. So that's when I started my journey. It was back in November when the first layoffs took place at Microsoft. So that's what drove me. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I should dust off that resume, try to figure out like where my next opportunity is, because I was 100% sure Microsoft is not the place where I want to grow. So that's what started it. And then I was just going through trying to understand, hey, like what would help me get there? And I didn't want to get, again, go to some kind of generic product role, product manager role, and just again have the same difficulties. I want to make sure that I was up leveling and at the same time getting that pay bump as well. So those were two things I was optimizing for: better pay and as well as getting a better team to work in. So when I was trying to figure out, my next thing was, hey, what would help me get there? There were two parts. One was upskilling, trying to go and learn more product courses and trying to showcase that on LinkedIn, and hopefully that worked out. The other thing was maybe go back to my education and try to see if I can get some kind of like deeper understanding of like an MBA or something of that nature. And that's when Alex's kind of courses start showing up on my LinkedIn feed, and then I saw a bunch of others. Like there was the International Product School from Showbit showed up as well, and a bunch of others like from I think there was one more dude called um, Amanda and one more. So they all had similar courses, and the thing that I would, and that's what piqued my interest. They all mentioned the same thing. They said, "Hey, we will help you accelerate your product career. We'd help you upskill as well as get you in front of the right teams to get to make sure that you are up leveling as well as getting better pay." Uh, there, I went and benchmarked all four, five of them. One of them being you, Kirk, and I think you did a really good job in showcasing, hey, what is the kind of ROI that you get, as well as you showcased why PCA was better than the rest. At the same time, you also the team seemed like they genuinely cared. It wasn't like I was just a number. Like I went, for example, if I had to compare, one of some of my notes I have here was with Showbit's kind of course. It was pretty clear that Showbit had much bigger numbers when it comes to conversion and all that good stuff, but it also meant that you don't get that personal turnaround and like personal attention to like, hey, here's where you are, here's what you have to be doing. And I think that's what you convinced me a little bit more of, Kurt. You showed that ROI, but you also showcased that, hey, we are going to be here with you every step of the way. We're going to help you, not just like make your resume and good luck to you, or just here are the course material and figure it out. But you all were there like, hey, we're going to help you get your resume, we're going to tweak it, we're not going to wait till you finish the whole course to start applying, you apply right away. So I think that's what got me, and I said, okay, cool, let's give this a shot. At the same time, this was a huge investment because as you can imagine, this was comparable to like getting like a small bachelor's degree, not a bachelor's, but a micro master's in some ways, or a mini MBA from not from a maybe Ivy League, but from a smaller college. So that's the thing I was grappling with. Like, is this really worth that much money? And I took the call by saying, hey, if this can get me that ROI, it can give me that personal attention, but at the same time, it can get and with the numbers you mentioned, that's what got me over the line. And I said, okay, cool, let's give this a shot. you had also that capability that, hey, if this didn't work out in the first 2 weeks, it's a full refund. So, okay, there was a net as well. So I said, okay, cool, let's give that a shot. And once I came on, I realized, well, this will actually can help me get through the door, even if it takes some time. Because when you told me 3 to 4 months, I'm like, that's a good amount of time for a turnaround, especially in this market. But yeah, that's what got me in through the door. Made the call, and I also realized that my call was correct because I had few friends who came to you, but then went to Showbits, and they did not. They decided to. They did not get the job. They also decided to take out all their money after being in that course for 6 months.
Yeah. So, whenever people come into PCA, like I said, we do things a little bit differently around here, especially one of those things, which I think that not just in things like this, but all over the place, people have kind of a bad taste in their mouth about group sessions, right?
Yeah.
And learning with their peers and stuff like that. So we do that a little bit differently here. And I would love to hear, what your initial thoughts were whenever you heard group sessions, and then actually what happens within PCA and what difference you saw between what you expected versus what an actual conducive group session that helps you to get better, was like for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the yes, when you all mentioned group session, I'm like, oh no, this is not what I expected. If it's a group session, I get it from a business perspective. It's better for PCA to have a bunch of folks in group sessions, so it's basically economies of scale. But when I heard group session, I had the same thought, like this is not what I signed up for it. Like I wanted more personal attention, but I was getting that from Valerie. Like Valerie was pretty close, but like, hey, if you need one-on-ones, I'm happy to set up one-on-ones with your coaches and make sure that you're getting what you need. But these group sessions would also help you understand how your peers are thinking about it. So when I went into the group sessions, I realized, oh, that it is not like some random course that's going on and everyone's like just listening. It's an actual very interactive course from the coaches like Shreyas and Sergey and Yuri. They are really good in like making sure that the group sessions are well fine-tuned to provide a holistic kind of education, kind of like, hey, here's what you should be doing, but also not be afraid to go into the weeds and say, hey, here's what you need to get you there. So I think that's what I enjoyed about the group sessions. And then I realized how valuable they are because I quickly realized that I could, once my resume was set up and I was trying to like apply, and initially I was getting very few calls back. But once I started getting calls, it was like 20 in one go. And that's when I realized that these group sessions made a lot of difference because I could it wasn't the getting that attention and all that good stuff, but it was making sure that I'm able to practice my stories in a group setting, get that feedback from not just from the coaches, but also my peers who've been doing this for much longer. And that's what helped me get through these major interviews because I realize it's the reps that gets you to the final round. It's not if I had just done 2 to 3 reps, gone in and to the interviews, that's it. It was pretty clear from my interviews with Meta because Meta, I thought, okay, I'm from Microsoft, I'm from Amazon. I had a little bit of that arrogance, went in, plummeted like in the first round, and realized that, hey, like I need those reps too for the other companies like Google, DoorDash, and kept doing that and kept getting to the final rounds for them.
Okay. And then something else I'd be really curious to hear your input on. A lot of people, again, kind of there's a bad taste in people's mouth. They're not used to it. Your CSM, right? So this is a process that requires a lot of scheduling, a lot of input, curriculum building, just a ton of admin in order to be able to really get it done. Who do I talk to? When do I talk to them? And why? Could you describe, initially what you thought about CSM, person who is just there to make sure that I don't, leave the program versus what you actually saw with the CSM, how they supported the curriculum building, and if you could, how much time you saved by not having to deal with that and just being able to show up and do as opposed to, plan and all of this.
Oh yeah, Valerie. I think I wouldn't have been able to do this without Valerie. Like I don't think I would have landed the role. So in terms, it's I think less in time saved, but the value provided. Because Valerie was not just like, hey, like I can schedule this for you and get you over the line, but she would also figure out, hey, like let's try to see what went wrong in the previous interview. Like what did you say, how did you negotiate, or what stories did you use, how do we tweak those, and then get and then take that and go to the coaches as well and say, hey, here's Shaz needs help with product sense or product analytical, and here's the stories that he had, could you like help him out. So it was not just time save, but the value provided, both in terms of resume optimization, making sure that I'm motivated enough to keep applying, even though getting like hundreds of rejections. At the same time, making sure that my sessions with the coaches were optimized. It wasn't like the coach didn't know what I was doing, and I came on, they're just like, hey, can you spend the first 10-15 minutes in just explaining where you are in the process and what you're trying to achieve. Valerie had already given them that heads up that, hey, Shaz is in this process, he's currently looking at this company, this is where he's at, and this is what help he needs. So as soon as I jump on a call, the coach was already briefed, and we could just get right into it.
Awesome. So the last question, and I'll let Tristan ask some as well. One of the big things that people don't understand whenever they join PCA until they do PCA is our approach to interview prep, and that being a little bit differently. So, a lot of people, there's two camps, right? Camp number one is, well, I'm a great product manager, therefore I can answer interview questions, right? But then, camp number two is, well, I have the experience, but I've mastered the art of representing that experience within the time frame, utilizing the skills they want me to represent within the rubric to pass the interview. And a lot of people get stuck in that separation from camp one in order to get to camp two, because as we all know, that interview performance ultimately makes the decision on whether or not you get the offer, right? So if you could describe, how PCA does the interview preparation process a little bit differently, to where it's not the process of 1,000 mocks to get you to where you need to go, but fundamentally breaking down what they want from the interview, practicing in that way, and then that also taking away the idea of a curveball, because you understand fundamentally what they're looking for and how to draw that out of whatever question it is that you get. Like our approach different from what the typical person does with just a million mocks or something like that.
Okay. I was in that first camp, or the second camp, where I was like product manager from Amazon, from Microsoft, good amount of experience. There's no way that Meta or someone of like Google or someone's gonna like come look at me and have me interview and then say, I'm not gonna give you an offer. Burned hard with my few of the interviews, because I quickly realized, hey, like the market is really tough right now. You could have these big names on there, you could have great product experience, great stories, but still bomb the interview because you just didn't have the structure to how you should be responding in the interviews. And that's where PCA helped quite a bit. Like it helped me structure more than just going and just doing mocks and all of that. It helped me structure the interview and then have the interviewer play into my game rather than doing the opposite, where they're judging me and they're trying to figure out if I'm the right fit. I was able to switch that to say, hey, like are you the right fit for me? And then structure that conversation from there on, and that's how I was able to land roles.
Yeah, well, and just to clarify on that one more time. So, a lot of people think they need to do a million mock interviews, right, in order to be able to pass the interview. But looking at it at a different scope of, understanding the rubric and then kind of building backwards from that, does somebody need a million mock interviews to pass an interview, or does going about it in more of a structured way where you prepare for it fundamentally change the way that your interview performance ended up turning out?
Yeah, definitely. The structure helped quite a bit. I'll give you an example. Like Sergey has his own structure for how you pass a meta interview. What does an L5 versus L6 response mean? And when you take that and go to any interview, regardless whether it's Meta or someone else, it's going to work, because now you know exactly how to answer that question while also showcasing the depth and like the span of control that you have, because that's what they're looking for. Like, do you have span of control? Do you have the depth as a product manager? And then lastly, they if you've spent 5 6 years in product management, they expect you to already have the skills, but then skills is the last thing they test for. They're testing more for span of control and depth. And that's what I learned from working with all the coaches, that here's how you answer, here's how you make sure that that rubric, you touch base on all the points of the rubric to move from an L5 to an L6 or to an L7 position.
Huge. That's super helpful feedback. I did have a couple of questions on more of like the personal responsibility that you still have when you join PCA. What do you think led to your success from your efforts? Like the language that Alex and I and our team uses is like, we want students that are proactive and ambitious and taking ownership, right? And so just because you join PCA doesn't mean you're going to have these results. You still have to put in the work, right? So what was putting in the work like for you? And walk me through some of the ups and downs you faced with your own mindset, and what type of work did you have to put in to do this? Because we didn't just do it for you.
Yeah, definitely, Tristan. Because it was a big kind of I wouldn't say like a low, but especially because I had just applied in the beginning. I had just applied for 120 jobs, and I come up to Valerie and I'm like, 120 jobs and nothing happened. I am not getting any calls and all of that. And Valerie goes, 120 is nothing. You need to pick that up. But so that was like a low point in the beginning, where I thought, okay, I have just signed up to PCA and I've come up with my resume. I know my stories. I've applied to 120 jobs. I should be hearing something back. But then I realized, well, that's just the beginning. You have to keep pushing yourself. You have to keep yourself motivated, and make sure that you're not just applying to 120, but you just make sure that you keep applying and you keep yourself motivated and keep moving forward. Because as soon as you slow down, I realized that I start failing interviews, or even if or the interviews just like, for example, I had a Walmart final offer, but when I got the offer, I thought, great, I have an offer. I can slow down now. I don't need to like keep applying. But that was one of the mistakes I did. I should have just kept going, because that Walmart offer eventually like dropped, mainly because of whatever reason they had. They said internal candidate. So that's something that I learned, that hey, like, do not slow down. Like, once you like get those one or two offers, like, keep going.
Yeah, and props to you for putting in the effort to actually get to the final result, and you've gotten a couple offers. We've seen your name come across the Wins channel a couple times, so it's awesome to see that. I guess we can, I really appreciate all the time you've given us. I would have maybe one or two more. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about joining, and they might have an objection, whether it's, I don't see the value, 12 grand is a lot of money, I don't know if this is worth it. How do I know this is actually going to work out for me? Let's say they're a qualified PM. They've got several years of experience. There's someone that we can definitely help, but they're still on the fence about it for whatever reason. What would you say to that person that's in your shoes a couple months ago?
So I had that exact situation. I remember sending a few friends over to Kirk and saying, hey, like, they're really interested and they would love to like join PCA. And then the things I told them is, hey, you can benchmark PCA with other, do your own research, not just blindly listen to me. Do your own research, figure it out. But I can tell you that among all of them, you would want someone who's just as hungry as you to get that final offer, to get those roles. And if you do go to other similar programs, you realize that they do not provide that level of attention, or they do not provide that level of like, hey, we are going to be with you till you get the job. Like, everyone I met at PCA, like even Valerie would be like, hey, I'm here with you, we can do this, like, just keep applying. Like, let's just keep going through and just figure out like what's next. Kirk was the same as well. When I first came on, Kirk said, hey, like, I'm here with you. Let's figure this out. Like, where do you need to be? What are you optimizing for? What data do you need? I can help you get there. So that's what and that's what same thing I would tell anyone who's on the fence. I would tell them, hey, you can go benchmark, do your own research, But from my perspective, I can tell you that you need someone who's your trusted partner and who's as hungry as you to get the job, because who feels like they're in the seat with you. Because otherwise you're just gonna be in like this giant pond that 100 other product managers and some program. They're just giving you some generic courses to go ahead and try and figure things out.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I think like one of the things that we do is we sometimes it's pulling teeth to get people enrolled. And some people it rubs them the wrong way, and they think it's like this high pressure thing. And we've had a few remarks like they're high pressure sales tactics. And it's like, well, we're actually just running a coaching program and coaches hold you accountable. And so if you say you want to go make 4, 5, 600 grand or more sometimes, but you know that you're falling short, and we know that we can help you, we're going to encourage you to join and we're going to try to hold you accountable at the start line. Are you, like, looking back in hindsight, are you glad that Kirkland held you to a high standard and helped you convert and didn't give up on you in the beginning?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, to your point, yes, in the beginning that like that pressure, I thought, okay, this is quite a bit of pressure to like join. It it didn't leave a bad taste, but I was trying to figure out like, can I how do other teams respond to this? And I realized that it's similar across the board. There is high pressure. All of them will say this, will say, hey, like you have 3 days to join, and would give you this offer. But Kirk was the only one that came back and said, "Hey, like I'm willing to work with you. Let's figure this out. Like, where do you need to be? What are you optimizing for? What data do you need to help you get there?" Um, and that's what helped me. Like, okay, like their data is pretty clear. They understand how long it takes. They're not bluffing and saying, "Hey, like you're gonna get a job in 3 months." Kirk was pretty clear on that. He said, "Yeah, it depends on you. It can take 3 to 6 months, and I'm not going to come and lie to you and say, hey, I'm going to do this in 2 months for you." So that's what got me onboarded, because I thought, okay, they're honest about what they're trying to achieve. At the same time, I can understand where that pressure is coming from. They're competing with all these other programs, and lastly, they're willing to work with you to get you to where you need to be.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. And we're glad that, like, obviously we're glad that you enrolled, and sometimes we have someone that's, imagine a carbon copy of your exact situation, and then they decide not to join. And then 4 or 5, 6 months later, they reach out to us and say, hey, I'm still in the exact same position that I was in. And we go, yeah, that's why we tried to hold you accountable to starting with us, right? Because we know that we can help. And so we don't accept anybody into the program that we can't help, and so I'm glad that you ended up joining. Would you say that you got a tremendous ROI from PCA overall?
Yeah, overall, yeah. I My offers were much higher than what I initially was. So I think the ROI is quite there. The only thing is, I think when I suddenly saw on Alex at 700K kind of job, that's what like I'm like, oh, maybe not 700K kind of ROI, but yeah, it could help me quite a bit.
100%. Well, we're super glad that you joined, and we're glad to have you, man, as part of the alumni. So thank you so much. And this will probably help the next PM if they um, are thinking about this and they're in your exact shoes. So thanks for helping the next one. We really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Justin.
Cool, man. Well, Shaz, we really do appreciate this. And if you're open to it, we'd love to use this, whenever Kirkland might have somebody that he feels like we can help, but they're just a little bit uncertain and they want to speak to somebody. Instead of maybe calling your phone 10 times, we can just show them this, and we can anonymize it if you feel more comfortable doing that. But it is very helpful for us to have these types of documentations. As long as you're okay with that, we'd love to share it internally. We won't market your face or anything, or like your name or anything like that. So as long as that's cool, then we'd love to share this with those who are considering.
Yeah, definitely. That's fine with me.
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. If there's anything else that we can do for you, please let us know. Valerie did end up having an onboarding call that she had to get on and go change another life. So Alex did say, like, you're in this with us for life. So we'll help you with on the job support. I'll have Valerie reach out about that, and maybe she already has, but we're going to continue to support you beyond just accepting the offer, right? So we got your back, and we'd love to hear about how that goes, because that's something that's a little bit newer for us. We're just starting to build out a product for people that once they land a role, we help hit the ground running. So we're excited to deliver on that front, and we can't wait to see you back inside.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. Yeah, I was just hoping to have like that one-on-one with Alex, just like a post brief kind of thing.
Yeah. I'll ping him, and Valerie will get you on with Alex, and he's excited to chat. So thank you so much. We'll get you on, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, Shaz. Have a great one. See ya.